So here we are live again, the next live stream. This time it's the earnings call with the management commentary. So far I'm not hearing any nice background music as it usually is the case, but we can wait. They should start any minute. And yeah, I'm seeing already 50 viewers are hopping over to this new live stream. Thanks so much. Please make sure to share it and smash a like. That helps the algorithm and we'll have a larger audience on this call. As always, I'm trying to give my comments mainly in the comments section, and then later after the call, which might be close to market open actually. Sometimes these calls can be very, very long. I'll try to provide a Q&A as well on top of that. So let's see. I'll just have had another live stream already.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for standing by for NIO Incorporated's first quarter 2025 earnings conference
my perspective,
call.
my personal estimations.
At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode.
Yeah, definitely a
Today's
miss on
conference
top
call
and
is
bottom
being
line,
recorded.
and also versus my
I will now turn the
expectations.
call over to your host, Mr. Ray Chen, Head of Investor
revenue
Relations of
side
the
has been
company.
largely met,
Please
but
go ahead, Ray.
all of these profitability metrics in terms of
Good morning and good
margins,
evening, Welcome to NIO's
the
first
bottom
quarter
line and so on
2025 earnings conference
have
call.
been
The company's financial and operating results were published in the press
negative,
release earlier today and are posted on the
assumed.
company's IR website.
So
on today's
I
call,
guess
we have Mr. William Li,
that was
founder,
telegraphed
chairman
by the
of
market,
board and
as we've seen how
CEO,
NIO stock is trading.
and Mr. Danny Chu, Chief Financial Officer. Before we
Now,
continue, please
I'm
be
still not
kindly
hearing
reminded
anything
that
on the earnings call.
today's discussion will contain forward-looking statements
I hope
made
they'll
under
be
the safe
joining us.
harbor provisions of the U.S.
Wouldn't be the
Private
first time that
Securities
NIO aborts an
Litigation
earnings
Reform
call.
Act of 1995.
Usually we should hear
Forward-looking
this kind
statements
of
involve inherent
background music.
risks and uncertainties. As such, the company's
Let's see.
actual results may be materially different from the views expressed today. Further information
You guys
regarding
can hear the
risks
earnings
and
call?
uncertainties is
I can't
included
hear
in
anything.
certain filings of the
okay.
company
Maybe
with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission,
yeah.
the Stock Exchange of Hong Kong Limited, and the Singapore Exchange Securities Trading Limited. The
I'm
company
hearing it
does
now
not
as well.
assume any
Sorry about that,
obligation
guys.
to update any
Good you guys
forward-looking
were
statements
able to hear it.
except as required under applicable law.
That was,
Please also note that
based on my
NIO's
personal
earnings press release
laptop
and this
settings here
conference
today.
call
I'm only with my
include
laptop. I don't have a larger
discussions
display and
of
stuff, so
unaudited GAAP
I'll be
financial
missing things. So thanks
information
for you
as
guys
well
reminding
as
me in the comment section.
unaudited non-GAAP financial measures.
Right now, the
Please
CFO,
refer to NIO's press release, which
I think, is
contains
going through
a
the press release.
reconciliation of the
So
unaudited
obviously,
non-GAAP measures to
the most
comparable
important
GAAP
part will
measures.
be in the analyst
With
comments
that, I will
and
now
question
turn the
section.
call over to our CEO, Mr. William Li.
Thanks,
William,
James. Yeah,
please
sorry
go
for
ahead.
talking over it.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining
Now,
the
Li Bin.
2025 Q1
Let's dial in.
earnings call. In Q1, the company delivered 42,094 smart EVs, up 40.1% year-over-year. This includes 27,313 deliveries from NIO and 14,781 deliveries from Envoy. Since Q2, the company's deliveries have picked up pace month-over-month, supported by a solid start of delivery ET9 and Firefly, and the growing demand for Envoy L60. In April and May, the total deliveries were 23,900 and 23,231. In late May, we successfully launched and delivered the new ES6, EC6, ET5, and ET5T. We expect total deliveries in Q2 to be between 72,000 and 75,000, representing 25.5% to 30.7% growth year-over-year. On the financial side, the company continued the cost reduction efforts on all fronts, achieving year-over-year growth in both vehicle gross margin and overall gross margin. Now, I'd like to share some updates on our products, R&D, and operations. For the NIO brand, the deliveries of ET9 NIO's executive flagship sedan surpassed BMW 7 Series and Audi A8L in China in the first 4 delivery months. This marks the first time that a Chinese brand has made a breakthrough in the premium executive segment long led by BBA. On May 16, we launched the new ES6 and the EC6 and started delivery on May 20. On May 25, the new ET5 and the ET5T were launched and delivered started on May 27. These upgraded models deliver greater perceived value and the product strength, along with major improvements in cost. For the NIO brand, for the Anguo brand, since April, Anguo has rolled out a series of operational and organizational adjustments, significantly improvement in the productivity and the operation efficiency of the sales force. Such change also shifted Anguo towards a positive cycle of brand awareness and product reputation. With that, Anguo's orders have been rising steadily since late April. Anguo's second product, L90, a smart large space flagship SUV, made its debut on Shanghai Auto Show. With the class-leading space, ultra-low energy consumption, and the extensive charging and swapping network, Anguo L90 has drawn strong interest from 3-row SUV buyers. This model will be launched and delivered in Q3. The smart electric high-end small car brand Firefly has started product delivery in late April. Engineered for the 5-star safety in China and Europe, and with a thoughtful space, smart digital experience, and vivid driving dynamics, Firefly stands out in its segment. In terms of tech innovation, NIO's smart driving chip NS9031 has been deployed in the flagship model ET9, as well as the new ES6, EC6, ET5, and the ET5T, and will be rolled out on more new models of NIO. These new models are also equipped with NIO's full domain vehicle operating system SkyOS and the intelligent chassis system. Such innovations not only enhance the product competitiveness and also improve the vehicle cost structure. As for smart driving, the first NIO world mode-based version has been rolled out to vehicles on the Banyan platform since late May. The NIO world model, or NWM, provides full upgrades in active safety, urban and highway driving, as well as parking, especially in key areas of active safety. NWM brings enhancements in handling driver emergency, mitigating and preventing rear collisions, and recognizing general objects. Based on NWM's comprehensive understanding and the reasoning of much model information in real time, Navigate on Pilot Plus or NOP Plus can guide cars through toll gates across China, with automatic navigation to frequent parking spots, as well as mapless and non-memory-based wayfinding in parking lots. NOP Plus also delivers a seamless point-to-point smart driving experience. NIO's world model will continue to iterate, bringing safer and smarter driving across all scenarios. So far, NIO operates 184 NIO houses and 461 NIO spaces, and Anguo has 445 stores in China. On the service side, the company operates 391 service centers and 66 delivery centers. We will continue to improve efficiency and resource allocation through better operations and performance evaluation across the sales network. As of now, the company has 3,408 power swap stations worldwide, including 989 stations on highway in China, and has provided over 75 million swaps to users. Besides, NIO has installed over 26,000 power chargers and destination chargers. To date, NIO's power swap network has achieved country-level coverage in Beijing, Shanghai, Jiangsu, Zhejiang, Guangdong, and Tianjin. Next, we will continue to expand the coverage through partnerships with site operations, great companies, and capital investors. In international expansion, NIO has partnered with more than 10 local partners in over 15 core markets worldwide, and is onboarding more partners. In Q3, Firefly will roll out in various markets, delivering global user experience beyond expectations. On April 7, NIO completed a share offering in Hong Kong, raising over 4 billion Hong Kong dollars. This financial round was oversubscribed multiple times and has brought in a number of global long-term investors. 2025 is a harvest year for products. As multiple core models are to be launched in the second half, the company's deliveries are set to accelerate from Q3 with stronger sales, lower supply chain costs, and better BOM efficiency from new products and technologies. Both vehicle and the overall gross margin will keep improving. In improving operational efficiency, since Q1, we've implemented strict investment and return reviews across R&D, supply chain, sales, and service functions under the SAP business unit mechanism. We've set clear goals for operationals and ROI. We structured the organization and consolidate teams, prioritized high-value projects, and introduced plans to improve productivity and cost efficiency. These measures have taken hold in Q2 and will continue through the year. With growing sales, improving margins, and better cost control, we are confident in improving the company's financial position starting Q2 and meeting our full-year business targets. Thank you for your support. With that, I will now turn the call over to Stanley for Q1 financial details. Over to Stanley.
Thank you, William. Let's now review our key financial results for the first quarter of 2025. Our total revenues reached 12 billion RMB, increased 21.5% year-over-year, and decreased 38.9% quarter-over-quarter. Vehicle sales were 9.9 billion RMB, up 18.6% year-over-year and down 43.1% quarter-over-quarter. The year-over-year growth was mainly due to higher deliveries, partially offset by a lower average selling price from product mix changes. The quarter-over-quarter decrease was mainly attributable to fewer deliveries impacted by seasonality. Other sales were 2.1 billion RMB, grew by 37.2% year-over-year, and decreased 5.9% quarter-over-quarter. The annual growth was from increased sales of parts, after-sales vehicle services, and provision of power solutions, along with a rise in sales of used cars and technical R&D services. The decrease quarter-over-quarter was due to decreased sales in technical R&D services and auto financing services. Looking at margins, vehicle margin was 10.2%, compared with 9.2% in Q1 last year and 13.1% last quarter. The year-over-year increase was mainly due to lower material cost per unit, partially offset by changes in product mix. The quarter-over-quarter decline was mainly due to the increased manufacturing cost per unit from lower production volume. Overall gross margin was 7.6%, compared with 4.9% in Q1 last year and 11.7% last quarter. The year-over-year increase was mainly driven by, first, higher sales of parts, accessories, after-sales vehicle services, and technical R&D services, which carry relatively higher margins. Second, higher vehicle margin. And third, the reduced gross loss rates from power solutions as our user base grew. The decrease quarter-over-quarter was mainly attributable to lower vehicle margin. Turning to OPEX, R&D expenses were 3.2 billion RMB, increased 11.1% year-over-year, and decreased 12.5% quarter-over-quarter. The year-over-year increase was mainly due to the incremental design and development costs for the new products and technologies, as well as the increased personnel costs in R&D functions. The quarter-over-quarter decrease was mainly driven by decreased design and development costs resulting from different stages of development, partially offset by increased personnel costs. SG&A expenses were 4.4 billion RMB, up 46.8% year-over-year, and down 9.8% quarter-over-quarter. The year-over-year increase was mainly driven by the increase in personnel costs related to sales functions and the increase in sales and marketing activities. The quarter-over-quarter decrease was mainly due to the decrease in sales and marketing activities and professional services, partially offset by the incremental personnel costs. Loss from operations was 6.4 billion RMB, up 19% year-over-year and 6.4% quarter-over-quarter. Net loss was 6.8 billion RMB, showing an increase of 30.2% year-over-year and a decrease of 5.1% quarter-over-quarter. That wraps up our prepared remarks. For more information and the details of our unaudited first quarter 2025 financial results, please refer to our earnings press release. Now I will turn the call over to the operator to start our Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you. If you wish to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. If you wish to cancel your request, please press star 2. If you're on a speakerphone, please pick up the handset to ask your question. For the benefit of all participants on today's call, please limit yourself to 2 questions. And if you have additional questions, you can then re-enter the queue. Your first question comes from Tim Hsiao with Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Hi, William, Stanley, and Tim. Thanks for taking my question. This is Tim from Morgan Stanley. I actually have 2 questions. The first one is about the volume sales, because if you look at the announcement, the NIO's second quarter volume guidance of 72,000 to 75,000 vehicles. I think that implies a more moderate sales increase despite the recent launches of 4 new models. So looking forward, how could NIO give the sales mainstays, either 5 and 6 series, an extra push in the following months to achieve our previous target of 30,000 monthly sales for the NIO's main brand by year-end? That's my first question. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Now more than 500 people watching. Welcome everybody who's joining us just now. This is the second live stream already, covering the earnings call with the management remarks as well as the analyst questions. We are now already at the juicy part. Management questions. Yibin is now talking in Chinese. Previously, I've done a live video about the earnings report, which I think was rather missing most of the estimates, like aftermarket and my personal estimates, mainly on the bottom line. So hopefully to get some insights now with some tough analyst questions. We now had some remarks by management, Li Bin and the CFO talking. These are prepared remarks, but now the Q&A will be more interesting, actually. Certainly, the big question mark is how can they get to a profitable quarter in Q4? which they reiterated, at least Li Bin, if I understand him correctly now, saying we want to achieve our business targets this year. Well, their targets are Q4 profitability plus 450K roundabout deliveries, because he previously said he wants to double deliveries. I'm not seeing the later, the 450,000 doubling, to be honest, but I do see a path to profitability in Q4. Will that be enough, though? The outflow of 2 billion in cash this quarter was quite substantial. It's not explained by the net loss of this quarter, so something has been, going out in outflows, either in front loading, paying some bills in advance, or something that was unpaid, maybe debt coming due or something like that. I have to look into the more specifics of the balance sheet in the future, but anyways, that's where we are now. Thanks for tuning in. If you're subscribed for more than 1 year, you are able to post your questions. Later on, I'll do a little bit of a Q&A. And now let's hear what Li Bin said.
Thank you for the question. As we have stated, our quarterly guidance for the 72 to 75,000 units. In that case, we expect to deliver around 25 to 28,000 units in June. And in terms of the core volume driver for the NIO brand, as we have just recently upgraded and launched our all-new 5, and 6. These are our new EC6, ES6, ET5, and ET5 in late May, and we have just started delivery of these 4 new models. Then they are going to experience their first full delivery month in June. As you can tell from their MSRP, there is actually no major changes with the selling price of these 4 models, yet considering that before the launch of these 4 models, to clean up the inventories, we had provided some promotions on these 4 models in the previous generation. With that, the actual price increase is around 10% from last generation to this generation. So for the next step, we're going to stabilize on the prices of these 4 new models. And looking at the vehicle gross margin, actually the improvement is more than 10% from last generation to the model year 25. And also the bigger principle for us is to realize a good gross profit than simply looking at the vehicle sales volume. As we also look at our overall performance from the P&L perspective, in that case, we really need to strike a balance between the sales volume and also the selling prices of our product. And also in the meantime, we will keep improving our operational efficiency and systems. And going into the fourth quarter, we are going to introduce our all-new ES8, the next generation ES8, which is a highly competitive product. With that, we believe that in Q4, for the NIO brand, the monthly delivery will be around 25,000 units. That's around 20% year-over-year growth from last year's Q4, which was around 20,000 units a month. In that case, while improving the sales volume, we are also going to improving our vehicle gross margin significantly for the NIO brand to be above 20% in Q4.
Thank you very much, Willie. Mike? Yeah, my second question is about the cost reduction, because we noticed that NIO has implemented a series of cost-cutting measures over the past 6 months. So when are we going to see more meaningful contribution from such cost reduction effort? And could you please quantify and specify which categories we could probably see more significant improvement into second half? That's my second question. Thank you.
好的 ，Tim。确实在过去从3月份开始呢，公司采取了这个一系列的这个成本的。
All right, we immediately get the questions on profitability, obviously operational excellence and that sort of cost reduction targets and so on. One interesting piece, it's got split up here with the way I'm posting that is NIO's aiming for 25K monthly deliveries by the end of the year. Actually, that's a bit higher than what I'm personally expecting, but they are aiming towards a strong end of the year for the NIO brand, actually even stronger than I personally expect it to be, and a margin above 20%. Obviously for NIO, as it's the higher ASP, and then hopefully those high margins, which they said are unlocked by the new models that have a better margin by 10%, should be a main driver on the bottom line profitability. So
就是包括我们制造。
Thank you for the question. As you've mentioned, since March, we have conducted a series of cost control and efficiency improvement measures. And here I would like to further elaborate on that from the following aspects. The first is regarding our short-term work. Basically, we'll review and sort out all the key matters, projects, and organizations, and to look at the things that are not going to generate positive return on investment within the year, and we have made determined actions in terminating or postponing them for the short-term return. And the second is regarding the efficiency improvement. This is also mentioned by William in his prepared remark. In terms of improving efficiency, we also conducted the actions in the following aspects. The first is from the R&D perspective. We have established a new mechanism called vehicle product line. With that, we have majorly merged the R&D resources of the NIO brand, Onvo brand, and the Firefly brand to further improve the overall efficiency of our R&D activities.
在工业化方面呢，我们进一步整合了整个公司的这个物流、质量和供应链的职能，也进一步精简了团队的规模。在销售和服务方面呢，我们在确保一线的生产力的同时呢，我们提升了这个中后台人员的这个配比，通过这个减少人员精简岗位，提升中后台的支持的带宽，也进一步提升整个销售服务团队的这个效率。通过这样一些政策呢，反映在我们的这个
Next quarter, though, I mean, it's definitely not this quarter to show it. They're now explaining more and more in the background. You can hear CFO talking in Chinese of how that's supposed to happen. I think there's a path to it, to be honest. But obviously now with that big draw down of the cash position, I mean, it's a one shot, and that needs to fit.
And the second is regarding the improvements in the industrialization cluster. We have optimized and restructured the logistics functions, quality functions, and also supply chain functions by streamlining the team and also merging repetitive roles. And certainly, we have also made improvements in the sales and the service side. For the non-frontline teams, we have also made major improvements and also consolidations on the teams, including their roles and also positions, to better improve the efficiency and the productivity of the teams, especially the back-end teams. With that, we are going to witness the savings from the operating spending perspective, and such saving will be reflected in our Q2's earnings and also the corresponding results.
具体的两个费用上，研发费用呢，Q2 的目标是跟一季度相比，技术一次性的影响，我们想要实现一个15%的效率的提升。然后到 Q4 呢，结合我们 Q4 要实现盈亏平衡的目标，我们还是希望把这个 Q4 的研发费用控制在单季度的这个20到25亿之间。那跟我们的Q1和去年的 Q4 相比呢，整体应该会有20。
The response to what they just mentioned, that they're now putting the R&D together. Exactly, they have done this separate brand strategy in the past, which didn't work mainly on the sales front, but now they're also merging the R&D for that. As I stated in my, I think in the other live stream, I'm actually thinking we might see also some consolidation on the R&D costs, because simply they are now almost a complete model lineup, right? Yes, we do get some more models by the end of the year, but going forward there might be more of a refresh work to do, and maybe some sort of new ventures type of stuff now with the NIO World model and such.
And more specifically on the tighter control over the spendings. Regarding the R&D spending, in Q2, our target is, after excluding the one-off impact, we would like to achieve a 15% improvement, or actually R&D spend reduction. And in Q4, as we also have the break-even target, we aim to control our R&D expenses to be within 2 to 2.5 billion RMB per quarter. That represents a 20 to 25% year-over-year decrease from last year. And regarding the SG&A expenses, as this is also relevant to the marketing activities and also the tightened competition in the market, as well as our sales performance. So we will also manage the SG&A expenses in a very careful and prudent way. carefully balancing the return and also the investments on all these campaigns and activities. The target is to reduce the SG&A expenses quarter-over-quarter from Q2 this year, and by Q4, considering the break-even target as well, our target is to control our non-GAAP SG&A expenses to be within 10% of the sales revenue.
Thank you, team.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Your next question comes from Ming Sun Lee with Bank of America. Please go ahead.
Thank you, management. This is Ming. I also have two questions. My first question is related to your new world model. So after you launch the new world model in May, what is the feedback from your users? And also compared to your original rule-based autonomous driving solution, how more advanced after you launch your world model? And for your chip, because right now in certain models you are using your own designed chip, so you already save some cost. Do you also give up those benefit to the users? In the future, will Onvo also use the same chips? Thank you. That's my first question.
好，谢谢明。那我们在5月底的话呢，只是向我们颁奖的用户，也就是我们第2代的这个产品的这些用户去推送了 NWM， 那么就是未来世界模型的第1个版本。那从目前的这个用户和媒体的反馈来讲，还是非常正面的。
Thank you for the question. In late May, we have started to release and roll out our first smart driving version based on the new world model NWM to the Banyan users. Those are the users who are running on our 2nd generation platform products.
那事实上呢，我们在上几个版本我们已经发布了，就这个我们这个在主动安全方面的一些端到端的这样的一个方案啊，我们已经看到了对于减少事故方面、提高安全性方面显著的提升。那我们这次也发布了像主动靠边停车啊等等这样一些行业首发的一些主动安全的功能。所以在辅助驾驶的用户价值方面，我们一直认为这个减少事故是最重要的一个价值。在这方面的话，我们其实一直在引领整个行业的这个发展。
And actually, in the previous versions, we have already released a series of active safety features based on our end-to-end architecture and solution. With that, we also see significant decrease in the accidents and also the avoidance of the accidents and a better driving safety with our active safety features. For example, for the new world model, we have also released the emergency safety pullover. This also is one of the first in the industry. Overall speaking, our vision for smart driving is to reduce traffic accidents. And in that case, our active safety and our smart driving feature in general has been leading in the industry.
那在智能辅助驾驶的另外一个用户价值就是解放精力的方面，我们这次 NWM 应该说是在全场景都得到了一个非常显著的一个提升。那在这个端到端的这个停车的这个方面啊，我们也是第一次在大模型上用大模型来做这个停车的这个功能，那这个体验是非常的好的。我们相信这个行业里面应该是能够显著的好于同行。
So I'm surprised they are getting a
高速
question on the new world model, new world model. I'm always saying new world model. So far, from what I'm seeing coming out of the videos from those YouTubers, bloggers in China, which are not that visible to us, right? Looks very advanced, really good. Of course, also with some highlighting where it's failing, but so far, I mean, it's not much differentiation at what I can see to the best in terms of Huawei, Tesla, and so on. So quite excited about this technology. Given all of those Wall Street narratives that we usually hear out there that you need to invest billions into NVIDIA GPUs in order to come up with something like that, NIO has done that with lower R&D.
The second key vision of our smart driving is to relieve the driving pressure and stress. In that case, NWM-based version has also provided better experience across all scenarios. For example, we are also one of the first to release the point-to-point smart driving and also parking. Our overall experience is better than our peers in the industry. With NWM, we have achieved better experience in highways and also urban expressways. Our original experience based on the previous version was already good. And right now we have made the overall smart driving experience even more seamless. For example, automatic pass-through of the toll gates on highways. And in terms of the smart driving in urban roads, we have also achieved very good point-to-point smart driving. That's basically smart driving from a parking lot to parking lot with a high usability and good experience. So basically, we have achieved good smart driving experience across 3 key scenarios of our users.
那我们这一次的话呢，也是在行业内首发了一个，比如说在一些停车场这样一些环境里面，支持用户用自然的语言指令去实现一个跨区啊、跨楼层自主的寻找出口或特定位置的这样一些功能。这个当然我们还是这个还是只是开发了第一个这样的一个场景，但是也看到了我们整个的 NWM 的这个功能的上限的可能性。所以总体上来讲的话呢，我们这一次还是彻底的重构了我们整个的这个智能辅助驾驶的整个的这个功能数据功能闭环整个的体系啊，那确确实实还是这个进步还是非常非常的大的。当然我们也会持续的开发后续的版本，进行根据这个
I disagree with
我
this
们收集
take
到的用
by
户反
Tony.
馈
The sales
啊，
are
去这个
improving. In fact, they have
去这个
year-over-year
去进一步地
revenue
提升
growth and
这
sales
个整
growth.
个 NWM 的
And
可能性。
in an industry that is facing trouble, like Tesla, is
For
declining
example,
year over year.
we have released this automatic wayfinding in the parking lots where our users can provide natural language commands to ask the car to navigate to a parking space across different floors or even regions within the parking lot. And this is just one of the many new features that we are going to release based on the NWM enabled smart driving features. And with that, we also see the possibilities in improving the experience with the NWM. So overall speaking, this is a version that we have restructured the entire smart driving with our data closed loop and also feature closed loop. For the next step, we will keep improving and iterating this feature based on the feedback provided by our users to make the overall experience more seamless and also more useful.
那使用这个我们自研芯片9031的这个 NWM 的版本，也就是在 ET9 的 CEDA 上和新的5566的 CEDA S 上，我们计划的推送的话呢，是在这个6月底啊，那也就是说比我们颁奖要晚1个月左右。那么当然这个还是要依赖于这个公告啊和备案的这样的一些进展，但总的研发的进展目前是顺利。
So that's the NWM-based smart driving version released to the Banyan system. And in the meantime, as our third generation platforms, CEDA and CEDA S on ET9 and also the new 5.5 and the 6.6 products, they are running on our in-house developed smart driving chip NX9031. And the NWM-based version running on the NX9031 will be released in late June. That's our expected release date, but that is around 1 month later than the release to Banyan platform, and the specific release date will also be dependent on the actual approving process and the reporting process. The R&D process is actually in good progress.
长期来说，Onboard 当然也会用自研的芯片。
And for the long term, Onboard products will also switch to the in-house developed smart driving chips.
I mean,
thank you. Well, yeah. So next question is related to Onboard brand. So after you have some management change, what is the strategy to enhance the volume sales of L60, and also what is your expectation of L80 and L90?
那我们看到我们在4月份。我们调整了这个
Now talking
Onboard
that would be interesting because you've seen my last live stream and my updated projections for the full year and the revenues and sales. Onboard is the main laggard here. I never had very high expectations for Onboard, but I'm now thinking it may not actually reach 100,000 1,000 deliveries for Onvo solely. Now, obviously, we also have new models coming up. See what's the plan with that, but also how do they increasingly really increase the awareness of the Onvo brand, which I think is the main issue for selling this car, because the car itself is actually quite nice, quite good from every aspect. If you look at it, the main issue is this strategy of selling it as its standalone brand.
Organizational and operational adjustments to Onvo, including the adjustments to the core management team, sales team, as well as the regional teams. As we were making major investments, the good sign is that we didn't see major impact or negative impact on the sales volume of L60. Actually, in late April, we witnessed the growing order momentum of this product, and in May, the monthly delivery of L60 is more than 40% higher than in April, and these are the positive changes that we've seen.
从这个数字来看的话，我们也能看到我们 Onvo 整个的这种产品的竞争力还是非常强的。
So yeah, they're now mentioning that Onvo is now growing, but obviously slowly and still not within the expectations that have been set in the beginning. But I agree that over time, Onvo will actually keep on growing. I'm not so worried about that. But the question is like, how big of an impact can it make? And yeah, what's the long-term goal here for NIO with the Onvo brand? And also, how can they make it into a contributor to the bottom line of the NIO business, of the group?
And if we look at the actual product performance and competitiveness in the market regarding L60 in the first 4 months of this year, among the battery electric vehicles priced between 200 to 300,000 yuan, Onvo L60 has been the top 3 best-selling product in that segment. And we also expect its performance to continue to pick up in May and June. And this has also demonstrated the strong product performance and strength in the market.
那产品的竞争力是个基础，我们还是要看到我们的销售服务网络越来越成熟了，因为这个乐道
Well, it might be true that Onvo is, in the top 3, but still it's lagging, right? It's not enough for what this model should do, and especially not compared to what was invested in this new brand. So over time, I expect it to contribute and to grow brand awareness. Now they're merging it a little bit more in sales, so it should work out.
One of the foundations. In the meantime, we also see the maturity with our sales and service network. Onvo now has more than 440 stores, and many of the stores, including the front line and the fellow teams, are also getting more mature and adapted to the job. In that case, for the next step, we will also, as they are making major contribution or growing contribution to the sales volume, for the next step, we will also keep improving the operating efficiency and also productivity of the teams and stores.
那第3个增长的动力，还是来自于我们充换电网络的这个优势啊，因为我们乐道可用的换电站的数量啊，也在逐步增加。那现在的话是已经超过1900座了，而且我们这个在站里面部署的这个。
So while it's not super concrete around the Onvo, what Liebin is now pitching, sales and service network will be maturing and more productive, I'm not doubting that. Yeah, they should also talk about some other stuff, like, for example, the battery swapping partnerships, in my opinion, and what role they can play in the cost reductions. One thing going into these earnings was that I've also looked again about the build out of the swap stations, and they've built record amounts in Q4 and Q1.
Key driver is
so
regarding our
that's
battery swap and also battery charging and the swapping network, mainly the battery swapping network. Right now, in China, more than 1,900 power swap stations are available for Onvo users, with a lot more batteries available or circulating in the power swap systems for the Onvo users. users. And in the meantime, we are rolling out this Power Up Counties plan where we're increasing the county level coverage of our Power Swap network. So far, in Beijing, Shanghai, Jiangsu, Zhejiang, Guangdong, and Tianjin, we already see the county level coverage of our Power Swap network. And for the next step, we will continue to increase such coverage across more provinces and counties, which will be actually even more important for the Envoy users and products.
那我们最近也在试验在3、4线，还有一些更下沉的城市，我们就探索基于换电站去进行一个低固定成本的这样一个销售的运营的模式。从目前
So I do think this factory is operational because that's where I believe Firefly is being built. And I don't know whether or not the large cash outflow has possibly something to do with that. No explanation so far. Now, I don't agree with this comment. I don't think swap stations are a waste of money. I think it's NIO's mode, and I think they should utilize it more smartly over time, saying they should subsidize with free battery swaps. They should make more and more income on battery management, on grid balancing, on trading, on the service fees in the future, with all of those customers getting into the system.
In the meantime, in lower tier cities like third or fourth tier cities, we are also trying to use a power swap station as a window of opportunities or point of sales for the sales and operations, but of a lower fixed cost than a physical stores. So to put it simple, basically in some counties and also prefecture level cities, we don't need to open up the actual stores or showrooms. Instead, we can use a power swap station as a point of sale to present our product and provide experience and test drive sessions for our users, supported and facilitated by the local sales team. This is actually a unique advantage of NIO as the entire company, especially to boost the sales in the lower tier cities. This will be very important and also a systematic approach to boost the sales of Envoy.
所以总的来说呢，我们认为 L60 回到1万台以上，这样的一个销量水平，我们认为我们还是有信心的。那么 L90 会在3季度正式上市交付。那从目前我们这个上海车展亮相以后，我们也在一些城市就做了一些产品的展示，我们用户的期待是非常高的啊！这个对于我们它整个的这个前备舱的大空间，整个解决了3排座大 SUV 的这样一些用户痛点。
Yeah, so swap stations have really many applications. Cases and benefits. It needs to be more clear also to investors that they can understand the economics of it. I mean, yes, there are an invest case, but that's why I'm talking also about the swapping partners, which should relieve NIO's financials going forward. But so far, we have no insights in that. As I said, I just checked back. Q4 last year and Q1 this year, they heavily invested themselves in record amounts of battery swap stations. So maybe that's also part of one of those increased expenses during that time. But going forward, I'm expecting those actually to become lower and lower as partners and even see ATL start building out some of those.
会形成一个比较好的协同的优势吧。所以3款产品加起来吧，我们也是希望4季度能够实现。
Yeah, I also have some ideas around NIO might be front-loading stuff here.
With that, we are confident that the monthly sales volume of Envoy L60 will be bouncing back to more than 10,000 units. And in the meantime, the second product of Envoy L90 will be released and delivered in Q3 this year. Since its debut at the Shanghai Auto Show, we have also brought the product to several cities for the showcasing, and our users are actually looking forward to this product as L90 comes with a huge frunk. This has also solved one of the biggest pain points of a three-row SUV without enough space for storage and luggages. And also in the recent information released by the MIIT, Onvo L90 also boasts impressive energy consumption and energy efficiency within its class. So basically, we believe that L90 will be a game changer in the large space SUV or three-row SUV segment. And in Q4, we will also release the L80 product. Then by end of this year, there will be 3 products under the Onvo brand, and these 3 products will all be targeting family segments with high build qualities and experiences. And this lineup will also provide better synergies. And in that case, our target is to realize a monthly delivery of 25,000 units of these 3 products in Q4.
Thank you, Min.
Thank you, William.
Your next question comes from Bin Wang with Deutsche Bank. Please go ahead.
谢谢。我第一个问题呢，想关于二季度的一个情况。首先呢，二季度的一个毛利指引哈，因为我们看到二季度是新产品嘛，都是用那些自主的芯片。请问一下，二季度的多代毛利率能不能进一步提高，导致整体毛利率回到双位数？
and differentiated between other brands like Xiaomi and stuff. And I think L90 really is the first time that Onvo is kind of maturing a little bit. It really seems like their own product. It's really solving a pain point with the front and the efficiency gains possible due to the ET9 motor that it's getting. So that's really a little bit of a hope there for the NIO brand. I'm receiving that really positively. The question right now is just completely in Chinese, and I think it's also been answered now in Chinese, so I keep on talking about the Onvo and the L90. So a little bit more clearance and clarity there on the Onvo targets by the end of the year. And yeah, they are pitching it obviously more bullish than what I'm personally expecting for the Onvo brand. I mean, if they get to more than 100,000 sales for the Onvo brand by the end of the year, cumulatively, that would be great. I'm not assuming that, so that's why I have lowered my estimates there. But we'll see who's right about that. Anyways, what I think is more important is that Onvo is not marketed as the Model 3 killer and a competition to Tesla. No, it's something standalone, something different. The L90 is the first car that really seems to be different in that sort of how it can be marketed. And that's why I think it's a great thing for the confidence of this brand. And now with Shenfei taking over, let's hope he's doing it a bit more smart than what we've seen in the beginning, how they marketed this brand in the vehicles, right? Because as I'm saying, the product themselves are not a problem. They are not badly designed. We don't have flaws like we had in the beginning with the launch of the ET9 or the ET5, when there have been real production issues. Onvo is not really impacted by that, although having some issues with the batteries in the beginning, but that was a supplier issue. So yeah, let's see.
Thank you for the question. As in Q2, we have completed the product transition for the NIO brand. We have successfully launched and started to deliver our new ET5, ET5T, EC6, and the ES6. With that, we also witnessed the increase in the average selling price of the new models. And also, as the new models are equipped with the in-house developed chip, this can also contribute around 10,000 RMB saving and cost reduction per unit. With that, in Q2, the vehicle gross margin of the new brand will be improved to around 15%. And for the Onvo brand, as in the second quarter, it will still only have one product, L60, as the L90 will be released in Q3. Then as we expect the growing volume for the L60, we also expect certain improvements regarding the manufacturing cost driven by the volume increase. But as it is only contributed by one model, the improvements from the manufacturing cost perspective will be limited. And the major gross margin driver for the Onvo brand will still be happening in Q3, driven by the launch of the new model. With that, we believe that the overall gross margin in Q2 will be coming back to double digit. That's our target.
对，我补充一下，因为我们的主销产品5566是4月份、5月份都在进行这个切换啊， 那么所以在这个24款清库的话呢，肯定对于4月份、5月份的毛利还是有些影响。但如果看到6月份的话呢，像我们 ES6的毛利率应该是可以超过20%，那么 EC6 当然会更高一些啊 ，ET5 和 ET5T 跟原来比也差不多提高了10个百分点以上，所以总的来说，从这个 NIO 品牌的这个毛利率的角度来讲，我们还在一个相对来说比较好的一个趋势上。
And a little bit more information on the new products. As our core volume products, 55 and 66 were having the vertical product transition during the April and May. With that, to clean up the inventories for the previous generations, we offered promotions. With that, the actual vehicle margin for that generation was relatively low. But starting June, as we are rolling out and delivering new products, we also witnessed better or improved margin on this product. For ES6, the vehicle gross margin will be around 20%. EC6 is slightly higher than the S6, and also for the ET5 and ET5 Touring, we also expect improved vehicle gross margin. So overall speaking, for the new brand, the vehicle margin improvement is on the right track.
好，我第二个问题是关于4季度我们这些盈利的一个假设哈。我按公司刚刚给的指引25000的这个未来25000的这个制造，那假设我们4季度能做到
disagree with this comment. I think Firefly will surprise actually. So far it's ramping up nicely, and the feedback that has been provided so far I think is actually quite good, given that most people don't think there's a market for that in China. Now I do also think it has a very good chance depending on the pricing in Europe. We ought to see about that, but definitely not disappointed with Firefly so far, to be honest. Give it some time. I think that's my personal estimations, my personal feeling, how I think about that. Firefly enjoying a better launch than Onvo, with all aspects together, like how they're marketing it, expectations management, actual performance, so all of that is quite okay.
Expense will decline to 2.5 billion. You also actually guided the sales expense will be around 10% of the top line. So overall, the total OPEX will be around 6 billion. Can I assume this is roughly the assumption to reach a break even in number 4 quarter? Thank you.
谢谢王斌，这个我想你大体上的这个经营的这个公式啊，这个盈利的公式也差不太多是我们在经营方面的一个大概的一个这个内部这个我们一个目标吧。那所以总的来说呢，我们认为每个月5万台的销量啊，这个3个品牌加起来可能比5万多一点吧。那么然后17%到18%的毛利率。这个研发费用呢控制在销售管理费用控制在10个点左右啊，研发费用控制在6到7个点左右，那么是可以实现毛利的。当然，其实我们的同行也有不少同行啊，也有一些同行吧，差不多用这样一个规模。
Alright, in the background, more questions on break-even points and margins. We'll hear the English translation in a second. 600
Thank
people
you for
joined.
the question. Actually, the equation you have mentioned is more or less our operational target internally as well. Regarding the monthly sales volume, slightly over 50,000 units a month, vehicle gross margin 17 to 18% combined margin, FG&A expenses within 10% of the sales revenues, and for the R&D expenses also achieving that level of management and control. With that, we are able, or we have the confidence of achieving the break even, as we see also our peers who achieve the profitability running on the similar scale and also the similar numbers.
那在21年的时候呢，我们的毛利率是达到过超过20%的，所以因为当时我们还没进入到3个品牌这样一个高的投资周期啊，我们很多研发项目也刚刚开始，所以我们的一度的每个 Q 的亏损也在一个
What I'm wondering is, like, with those targets, which sound fair. I mean, the volumes are higher than what I personally expect. For Q4, the margins are a little bit lower than what I expect. I'm thinking they could reach 20%, and then the expenses of 10% of revenue. How do those new model launches in Q4 play in? Because that's usually a cost driver as well. That requires really, really good management. And if that's the case, then I do believe, yes, the volumes can be higher. But on the cost side, they need to be staying within that 10% range. So very, very tough task here. But I stated previous times, I think the Q4 break even is possible on paper.
Back in 2021,
will they get there? Well, they have to.
We just had one new brand. We also managed to achieve a vehicle gross margin of over 20%. But back then, we haven't started the major investment in the R&D or the multi-brand strategy. As starting recent years, we have witnessed quarter-over-quarter losses, mainly because of our intensive investments into the R&D of the new products and technologies, multi-brand strategy, and also the network development, especially infrastructure network. But starting Q2 this year, we are also starting off a year of a harvest, or a period of a harvest, where we are going to see the tangible results starting Q2 and then towards Q4 this year, the results from our brand development, product development, network, and also network development, as well as the cost reductions and efficiency improvement. With that, I think your equation or your assumption is kind of also a guidance for us to achieve our operational target and also profitability in Q4 this year, and we are confident in that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Your next question comes from Paul Gong with UBS. Please go ahead.
Yeah, a fair point.
Thanks for taking my question. My first question is regarding the market feedback after the delivery of the 5 Series and 6 Series. I have seen some positive comments, but also have seen some disappointment among some of the car buyers, saying it is still using 400 volts battery instead of the 900 volts, like the ET9. Do you have any plan to switch into the 900 volts battery system at certain points? And what other feedback have you received from the car buyers? That's my first question. Thank you.
谢谢 Paul。那我们这个2025
That's
版
actually
就
a
是我们
fair
新
point by
的
this analyst.
ES6、
Question, in my
ET6、
opinion,
ET5、
he's pointing
ET5T
towards the fact that
5月下旬上
the
呢，总的市场
new models that are now being
比
launched are still
较
based on a 400 volts
就是
architecture,
因为
which
产品
is
力确实
not
有
the
较
latest
大的一些提
architecture
升。
that NIO
这个
has, the
像我们
NT
在
3.0
ET9 上
platform.
用
So
的一
it's
些
a
技术，
mid-cycle upgrade.
Skyway 的
We've
一些技
seen
术，
slight
还有一些安全
changes.
控制。
Still a very good-looking car and everything,
新的这几款
very
车
well
也
thought
同
through
步
in
去
the
上车
update.
了。
However, it may pose the danger that people are
Thank you
waiting for
the
the next
question.
platform
Since
even.
the launch of our new ES6, EC6, ET5, and ET5T in late May, we have received quite a lot market feedback, and mostly positive, as people do see significant improvement in the product competitiveness, especially for the chip technologies, SkyOS vehicle operating system, and also active safety features we have debuted on the ET9 are also now available on the 5 and the 6 series models.
那我们当然目前我们这次并没有把高压平台呢去进行升级，主要还是这个我们认为在现在这个阶段呢，结合我们换电网络，那事实上也是能保证给用户一个好的体验。那另外确实呢，这个当然我们在这个能效方面也还是进行了很大的提升，像我们 ET， 像我们这几款车的这个续航啊，仍然是跟
So the question is obviously whether or not NIO is good at marketing those current vehicles, which are definitely an upgrade and an improvement, as Ted just mentioned. However, knowing there's a better platform coming out as well soon, well, next year maybe. And there's another transition phase to manage, until which everything will be on the NT3 platform, which then again possibly unlocks scale effects and stuff. But given the big goals that NIO has this year, they can't go wrong with those new updated models. And if the customers perceive it to be not as competitive with the 400-volt architecture, then that might be an issue. So let's see what Liben has to say.
And regarding the high voltage platform, for the 5.5 and the 6.6, they are still running on the 400 volt. The overall feedback is also okay, as we not only have improved the energy efficiency of these 4 models for extended driving range than the previous generation, we also have our power swap network that can ensure a good experience for our users. Especially, we have this chargeable, swappable, and upgradable network enabled by the power swap. We also provided the flexible battery upgrade vouchers to our users for the new 5.5 and the 6.6 models. In that case, they have the flexibility to upgrade to 100 kilowatt-hour battery for longer range. And if they would like to have an even longer range, they can also choose to upgrade to 150 kilowatt-hour battery with more than 1,000 kilometer driving range. So overall speaking, with improved energy efficiency and also chargeable, swappable network, the feedback on the high voltage system is fine. And for the short term, we don't have plan to upgrade these 4 models to the 900 volt architecture platform.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, thank you. My second question is regarding the channel network. Right now, you have the NIO and the Envoy 2 networks, and Firefly is sold within the NIO system. And just now, you have mentioned that there is some innovative and NIO exclusive solutions by leveraging with a battery swap station and to do the product demo and show up. Do you foresee at certain points that you could further reform the channels and by leveraging with the synergies between the 2 network and perhaps some cross sell or certain merger of the network? How do you think about the channel management?
Okay, well, the first question was kind of interesting. I think the second question is not that enlightening. To be honest, I already mentioned that they are now increasingly blending the brands, and that will unlock some of these better sales and better efficiencies. So, quick question here that I can take. Do you guys think NIO should stop selling in Europe? No, I don't think so. BYD, I think, is the only Chinese EV poised to do well here. Well, BYD is not doing that great, to be honest, in Europe, at least not towards BYD standards. Yes, I know they have now overtaken Tesla in some metrics, but the amounts of cars being sold by BYD in Europe here are not that big yet. So, yeah, BYD, if they can bring the right models and the right marketing mix, will be doing well, but I think NIO should not bail out of this market.
For the Envoy and the new brands, we will still keep them separated. But in the mid and the back end, we are leveraging the synergies and also better integrate between these 2 brands, both in the headquarters and also in the regions. As actually in many regions, the general managers of those regions are taking the concurrent roles to manage the sales of both NIO and the Envoy brands. So overall speaking, we will better integrate these 2 brands from the mid and the back end perspective for better efficiency and the synergies. But in the meantime, we will also need to strike a balance between efficiency and the brand differentiations. So the longer term is to further integrate and leverage the synergies, but we will not be combining the point of sales.
那在换电站的这个一推一换电站去卖车这方面呢，我们确实在一些区域在进行一些这个尝试，就是我们在当地我们不去这个开设门店，但是就
This is more like the long-term outlook that NIO has. I think in the long run, this can be highly beneficial, having a different segmentation. So it's very clear, like what NIO wants to achieve here is kind of a BMW group or Volkswagen group type of approach, where you have different brands that are very distinct, catered at different persons, customers. So you can play that very well in the marketing ultimately, and you can be more independent. But the struggle really is in the short term of how you make a brand like Onvo known, which is currently entirely unknown. So this approach is more long term. I don't agree it's a disaster. It's not the wrong thing to do per se, but it's coming with a drawdown that was really not well thought through in the way they're playing it in the beginning with Onvo. I think you don't just start selling a new brand and think everybody knows about it and will sell as well as a Model 3. That's just laughable, and I said so, and it turned out to be exactly this. But in the long run, I still think this can be beneficial to the group.
Regarding using power swap stations as a point of sales, we are doing some demonstrations and the pilot runs in certain regions where we will not open the stores, but use the power swap stations as a window to reach out to our users and demonstrate our products and services. In that case, we will have the sales team and the fellows on site, but they will promote the products without having the stores. This is actually a unique selling point or a unique advantage of the NIO company by leveraging the power swap stations. And especially for the Onvo users, in our survey, we have found that around 60% of our users actually think power swap station or the capability of doing power swap is the top purchasing reason for them to buy the Onvo products. This is also another demonstration of the significant value of a power swap for the Onvo products and Onvo sales. And the same actually happens to the NIO brand, as there is a small county in Shandong called Xinfu County, and in that place, actually, it's a town. There's a town in Shandong called Xinfu Town, and in that place we have no stores or showrooms, but only several power swap stations. Yet in that place we have more than 1,000 new users. This is also a lively case showing how power swap station can contribute to the sales volume. In that case, we're doing a series of systematic measures and also designs centering on using power swap as a point of sales.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much, William. That's quite helpful.
No, Danny, I think it just didn't listen to what Li Bin said. He explicitly said that they keep the brands separate. So Onvo will be a standalone brand in how it approaches customers. However, what they're merging is R&D and some of the sales and marketing.
Onvo model. So the two new model is actually at a higher pricing point. What was the key selling point against the current backdrop that seems to be a little bit consumption downgrade this year? And roughly, what's the mix between 60, 80, and 90 expectation, especially into by the end of the fourth quarter?
对 L90 呢，这个是大空间的旗舰 SUV 是3排座的这个。
Yeah, one question which we might get about the L90 is like how much it may cannibalize NIO sales, actually, because it seems to be such a highly competitive product with the innovation of the frunk. So people who value space may actually opt for even the Onvo car, as I said, like the build quality is really high as well.
L90 is a smart large space flagship SUV. It's a 3-row SUV, and the L80 is a large 5-seater SUV, and both models are mainly for the family users.
那当然，这个从乐道品牌的角度来讲，我们的产品的话呢，
I think what's now becoming increasingly clear is that NIO is much more catered at this market, which they dominate, absolutely dominate full electric car market for the premium to luxury segment.
Speaking for the Onvo's products, it is based out on NIO's technology and innovation with a targeted design for the family users.
Yeah, while Onvo is more targeted at the families, but still, some people may actually switch to Onvo here instead of the NIO car, just because it's more pragmatic, I think. But so far, we have rather seen a stronger NIO brand and a weaker Onvo brand in terms of sales. So that was also maybe the surprise for people.
And with that, we actually studied the mainstream family users in the Chinese market, and we have developed a value equation for the product definition and also development of the Onvo brand. With that, our design and also functionalities of the product will mainly serve the value creation for the family users.
Yeah, Onvo really is a take on the Li Auto model, right? They are now telling them and showing them how to do a proper fully electric BEV for the family use case. So we'll see how that will turn out. Can the NIO brand stay as strong, given that they have such a competitive Onvo brand coming up with those models, the L90? I'm generally seeing Onvo more weak, but we will see.
We have debuted the L90 at the Shanghai Auto Show. We have demonstrated how large the space is with this model, especially with its big trunk. With 6 occupants on board, the car is still enough to accommodate 10 suitcases. Actually, this is an unprecedented functionality for a three-row SUV, be it running on batteries or ICE or range extender. This is actually a product innovation driven by our tech innovation and space innovation.
那最近的话呢，这个工信部的产品公告呢，也是这个让大家看到了我们在这个能效方面啊，就是一个技术的能力吧。那我们85度电池 L90 可以这么大的一款 SUV 可以跑600公里的续航。
More bullish about the Onvo brand in the long term. Yeah, actually, I have to say I really like the L90 for the reasons I mentioned before. So, yeah.
And in the recent information released by the MIT, people is also impressed by the low energy consumption and the energy efficiency of the L90 because it's such a big three-row SUV and running on 85 kilowatt-hour battery, the car still manages to achieve 600 kilometer driving range. This is actually an impressive result achieved on this model and also a very important advantage for the family users considering the overall driving range and also the cost of their ownership.
我们认为呢，技术创新呢，还有包括这个电池价格的这个下降，让中大型以上 SUV 的市场应该说在今年会迎来纯电的这样的一个增速的拐点。
I think for Onvo for Europe is homologation, so the adjusting to the European standards that may take some time and some R&D to do that. While Firefly was built for the European market in the beginning with, so that's why they bring Firefly first. That's my estimation, my speculation here.
所以我们认为呢 L90 L80 应该是能够改变这个行业格局的两款产品，我们是非常有信心的。在背后主要还是技术创新带来的用户体验。
Yeah, the stock price is ultimately well, it's so low. Of course, that's the sentiment and that's the perception. But then we had the surprise 2 billion outflow of cash this quarter. So some people obviously have more intel than us,
and
so they front run stuff like that.
Innovation and also the lowering lithium price or in general battery costs, we are seeing a turning point for the growth of the mid and the large SUV, battery electric SUV. If you look at the first 4 months of this year regarding the growth rate in the mid to large and also large SUV segments, the growth rate for the BEV models is actually 63% year over year. For the range extended version, it's only 1%. For PHEV, it's also roughly 60%. With this as a backdrop, we believe that L80 and L90 will be two game changers in this segment. And we have confidence for that as we are creating better experience and also more user value through our tech innovation and the product innovation. Plus, we have our nationwide available power swap network to help relieve the range anxiety of our users. With that, we believe that this year will also witness the turning point for the growth of mid and large battery electric SUV segment.
Thank you, Yuqian.
So if that's true, that's exactly why I never got so hyped about Li Auto. They will now have the challenge that fully battery electric vehicles are becoming more and more competitive in the segment that is usually buying range extender.
Even target. We're also conscious that gearing ratio is also running high. Could you share a little bit more about the cash flow improvement and the cash management?
Finally, some cash flow questions here.
好的，李倩。一季度呢，整个现金流的下降是比较多了，当然也是因为季节性的这个
So
原
far, I
因
didn't
了。
hear the
去年四
analysts
季度
talk
的
too
销
much
量
about
是
this
17万
whole
2000多台，
cash
然后今
management
年一季度是
situation
4万
here,
3000多台，
and
所以在
let's see
working
whether or
capital 的
not they
流出
will
呢，其
state
实就有
something
100个亿左右，再加上
news
呢，我
to
们在
us.
一季度
Generally,
这
I
个
guess they would
CapEx
be very
投入
conservative on
以
what they
及一
say,
次
but
性的我
I
们要
mean, that's
还
definitely the pain
这个
point of
CB
this
的
earnings
这
report this
个
time,
这个到
that
期
they had so
到
much
期的这个
outflow
put
of
option
cash.
CB 的钱大概
So that
24
makes
个
the
亿，所以
Q4
总体来说
profitability
呢，
a
整个一
must,
季度的
in
现
my
金流量
opinion.
出现了一个较大的
So
下
it's a
降。 当
real
然呢，其实
make or
从
break
在三季度
situation
三
by
季度
now
末呢，
for
其实我
NIO,
们也完成了
unfortunately, but
一次
that's
港
where
股
it
的
is.
这个融资吧，当时
Gotta
40.3
trust
亿港
in
币，
what they say
这
and
笔
what they
钱呢
do.
其实是在
If you don't
4月
trust,
初
you shouldn't be
到
invested
了
in
我们
this
的这个
company.
账上，但没有计入这个一季度的这个报表。那所以总体来说呢，我们销量在4、5月份也开始逐渐的回到了一个正常的轨道，刚刚也跟大家分享过。那销量的提升呢，其实会直接给我们带来现金流的运营现金流的这个改善。
Yeah, Daniel, I agree. Like, on was a huge part.
Thank you for the question. In Q1 this year, we've seen the lowering of our cash position. This is partially due to the seasonality of the car sales, as in Q4 last year, our sales volume was 72,000 units, while in Q1 it's 42,000 units. That has actually caused the outflow of the working capital of more than 10 billion RMB. And in the meantime, we also have some capital expenses as well as the one-off expenses. For example, the put option for our convertible bonds, which is around 2.7 billion RMB. But in the meantime, we are also raising funds. In late March, we have completed the fundraising through our in Hong Kong Stock Exchange and raising around 4.03 billion Hong Kong dollars. Yet this part of the fundraising was not recognized until early April, so it was actually not recognized in our Q1's financial results. But as we have shared, starting April, we are seeing our sales volume to pick up the pace. With that, this will also help bring our operating cash flow to the normal track.
基于我们对于2季度的销量指引啊，72000台到75000台的这个数字呢， 我们的这个现金流呢也会有大幅度的改善。
lower sales volumes in
逐步回到
Q1,
正轨。那
they had
Q3 和
higher
Q4 呢，我们
outflows
对于
of
销
the
量呢
cash
有着
because
更高的
obviously
这个目标。
the
刚刚 William 也
fixed
介
costs
绍
stay
过，
the
现
same
在
and the outflows, and
在
therefore
至
there
于
was not
Q3、Q4 的
much
这个销
new
量
cash
那我们
coming
的运
in.
营现金流
That was
还
one
会再持
thing.
续的
Then
提升。
mentioning a
那
higher
从目前
a
的这
convertible
个
bond
全年的
that
目
was
标来看，
outflowing,
整个
like
的自由现
bondholders
金流我们
want
应该
back
能够
the
实现
cash,
一个正向的
and
这个流
not
入。
recognizing yet the Q1 raise.
And as we
Still,
have
overall,
mentioned,
I
our
think it's
volume
concerning.
guidance for Q2 is between 72 to 75,000 units. This will help further improve our operating cash flow. And in Q3 and Q4, we have higher expectation and targets for the sales volume, which will help our operating cash flow to continue to grow and improve in Q4 this year. And for the full year, we also see the possibility of achieving positive free cash flow.
对，当然结合我们刚刚分享的这些降本增
Okay,
效的
so
措施，
guiding
我
towards
们也
better
会
cash
进一
flow in
步
the
控制
future
我们
because of
的
obviously
这
higher
个费
volumes
用
already
和资本性
starting
的开支，
in
然后
Q2,
呢，
but
确保我
more
们的
so in the
这
next
个钱都
quarters.
花到就是有用的这个地方。
That's
In the meantime, we
the
will
analyst
continue
questions
our
on the cash
cost
flow.
reduction and efficiency improvement efforts to have a tighter control over our OPEX and the CAPEX to make sure that our expenses are necessary.
好，谢谢。
Thank you.
Your next question comes from Jing Chang with CICC. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. I only have one question about overseas market strategy or target, and especially for the Firefly Global expansion. So regarding to the overseas market, I think that the last year we have already achieved sales volume of several thousand units, especially in European market. So in this year, from the beginning, we see that several brands in European market, they expand a lot and grow rapidly. And also considering the potential adjustment of the tariff policies, will European market or overseas expansion become a strategic priority for 2024? And what's our overseas sales target for this year. And also, we see that we have mentioned the Firefly's global expansion. So clear share more details, including the timing of also region priority and also the pricing strategy. Yeah.
好，谢谢唐静啊。那我们从总的来说的话呢，我们在今年我们其实是已经改变了我们进入全球市场的一个战略。
I already commented on that one. Today we got a news, I think 7 new markets in Europe. This time they're going via distributor. So Auto Valis, for example, one of them is the same distributor that XPeng and BYD are using. I'm personally missing Switzerland. I've done videos in the past, but I think Switzerland should be the key market to experiment, as it's French-speaking, German-speaking, Italian-speaking, plus, well, it's a small country to cover with swap stations. It has good income, like high income for the general population. So I'm not sure why they don't do Switzerland. I would love to see it, but we'll see. Going by a distributor obviously will relieve some of the pain of building up their own sales. That has also, of course, some drawdowns. So it's a win in the short run, not so much in the long run.
As mentioned, starting this year, we have started to change our global expansion strategy. Before, in Europe, we mainly relied on our own sales and service network via the direct sales model. Starting this year, we started to switch to look for local partners for each country. And as I've mentioned, we have already partnered with more than 10 partners in more than 15 markets, and we are bringing more partners on board for more or for broader market entry. And regarding the overall global expansion and the strategy, we actually have a pretty long-term view for our international development. For the Firefly brand, it will be rolled out to several European countries as well as several other countries this year. And regarding the products from the Onvo and the NIO brands, depending on the demands of the markets, we will also see if there are good products for some countries and regions worldwide. But overall speaking, we don't have a very aggressive volume assumption or target for the global market because we mainly look at this for a very long-term perspective.
Thank you, Tanji.
Your next question comes from Tina Howell with Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Thanks, management, for taking my questions. I have two questions. The first one is, as we are targeting to reach the more than 50,000 monthly volume at the 4Q of this year, how are we planning our production capacity? What kind of production capacity do we have now? And then what level will we reach by 4Q? And then are we adding
Danny, it's possible we might see cash raises based on the low cash position now, but we've also heard explanations of how they're thinking about improving the cash flow situation. So this quarter's outflow was actually quite extraordinary. It has never been that high. So it might well be much lower in the next quarters, and obviously they want to go to full profitability. But to be honest, in my previous estimations, I thought they would end in a much higher cash balance by Q4.
Our current production capacity will be enough to support our delivery assumptions for Q4 this year. We are preparing our third factory, and it will be put in operations starting September this year. And for certain production lines in some factories, we also have the flexibilities to arrange double shifts. In that case, production capacity won't be a problem for us.
Thank you. And then my second question is regarding our working capital, our cash conversion cycle, because we have observed that both, if we look at full year 2024 versus 2023, the account payable days, account receivable, as well as inventory days have actually gotten longer. And if we look at 1Q25 versus 1Q24, these days also got longer on a year-over-year basis. So going forward, I think for the full year of 2025 and maybe longer term, how should we think about these cash conversion cycle? What is the optimal days for these working capitals? Thanks.
现在对总体来说呢，我们当然你提到这个两个这个周转的问题啊，一个是库存，一个是这个应付账款。首先来说一下这个库存吧。那确实呢，随着整个市场竞争的激烈了，所以我们其实整个的销售的模式呢，
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, sounds like this analyst is actually bearish NIO and almost short the stock, maybe, given that she brings up the paying cycles and terms and the cash flow situation. But certainly, you know, that's becoming a concern now with the big outflow in this quarter and how they're thinking to manage that in the future. I think definitely now it's a make or break situation. They need to get to that Q4 profitability target, because after that they will still have unprofitable quarters. For example, Q1 2026 might be also another quarter with big cash outflows if we are making the analogy towards this year. So overall, it's really not a pretty situation for NIO anymore, given the cash cushion has come down quite a bit. But again, this was maybe not the most normal quarter in that sense, given also that previous quarters shown much lower outflow sometimes.
As you have mentioned, two key parameters, inventory level and also the account payable. Regarding the inventory level, as we see growing intensity in terms of the market competition, we are also switching our sales model from OTD, that's order to delivery model, to more inventory based. In that case, this is also a better practice to cater to the demands of the consumers, where many of them would like to pick up their cars as soon as possible. So as now we are switching to the inventory-based sales model, we also are seeing higher inventory levels regarding the vehicles as well as the production materials in comparison to the OTD mode. If we would like to continue to keep up the sales volume against the growing fierce competition, then we will also see the growing level of the inventory, but we will have a very strict and tight control over the inventories of both vehicles and the materials. Basically, the reasonable inventory level of the vehicles will be around 1/3 to half of the monthly sales volume of each brand.
对于应付账款呢，其实我们对于供应商端的这个账期呢，一直是没有太大的这个变化。当然，你看到的这个账期从一个报表上周转率的计算上，它quarter over quarter 会有一些这个 flux 呢，主要。
Okay, that's an interesting insight. Maybe switching to an inventory-based model for the first time, and maybe based on experiences where they didn't get the models out as quickly as needed when customers did not get to pick up the cars, and then burning through some of these pre-orders, now keeping 1/3 of the monthly sales inventory. That's of course implications, right, with the build-up of inventory, which needs to have some investments and such, and the balance sheet implications. But interesting change. Oh yeah, markets already open. They sent out the earnings pretty late, and 1.5 hours is not enough for an earnings call for NIO, it seems.
And regarding your second question on, or the second parameter on the account payable, actually the payment duration we set for our suppliers has always been the same. That's around the 90 days. But due to the accounting and also financial releases quarter over quarter, there are certain fluctuations that is also mainly related to the use of the check for the payment. Within the 90-day payment duration, we normally will we will pay half in cash to our suppliers and another half in check. But depending on the supply of the goods and also the urgency of the supply or the types of the suppliers, they will also have a various terms and conditions for the payment. Certain receive 100% payment only, 100% payment in check, and certain will only receive or allow for 100% payment in cash within 60 days. So the payment terms and conditions also vary from supplier to supplier, but the overall duration is consistent consistent. As we see growing sales volume, in that case, we will also see growth in the purchasing value of these commodities and goods from our suppliers, multiplied by the volume and also the duration. We will also see the rising level with our account payable. But overall speaking, that's actually normal as it's relevant to the volume, the sales volume of the product.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you. That's very clear. Thanks, William and Stanley.
As there are no further questions, now I'd like to turn the call back
Well,
over
very
to
technical
Stanley
question here about the payment terms, but as I mentioned, like this is being brought up from time to time, especially also by people who think there's not everything. By the way, the call finished. Not everything is going well or to standard terms in the Chinese business space, which they now just defeated. So sometimes we're hearing about how BYD is crushing its suppliers, how NIO is paying late, and so on. Certainly, there's lots of competition and pressure in the whole supply chain in China, but yeah, some people are over-exaggerating whether or not some of this might even be fraudulent, right? That's the reason or the argument that she wants to bring up here, that it suggests financial trouble, which they now have refuted. But anyways, I think that the learning of this earnings call and report must be that it's time for NIO to really show the changes in the cost reduction and working towards profitability. It cannot go on like this. They mentioned they've done so. We have got an extraordinary big outflow of cash this quarter. It was more than my personal estimations. Being fair, in the last couple of quarters, sometimes the cash outflow was also lower than I personally estimated. However, in the personal business case that I'm doing, I was thinking that NIO would have a better cash cushion than the current one for longer, which is now not the case, which makes it as an increased pressure and fragile position here for NIO to perform. They did still sound quite confident on the call, in my opinion. So it's really whether or not we trust them in being able to execute. I think lots of questions and question marks are usually brought up by competitors. As somebody commented here in the comment section before, competitors use financial fragility also as a marketing tool to make people not buy a car because there are question marks around the car. So, it's a very, very tough business. And I'm just waiting on Elon Musk's comments here, going out and praising Tesla profitability versus NIO, and saying basically NIO is struggling, which in a sense they are, right? It's a startup, they are struggling, they don't know whether or not they're going to make it. So that's a very volatile investment case here. It's basically like venture capital investment, unfortunately. And here we are still. I think it's one of the most exciting companies out of China, mainly for the product, the vision that they have, and therefore I hope that they're going to make it in it. And I'm personally betting my money on it, but I might lose my money as well on that if things don't improve starting from here. So that's the unfortunate situation right now. But as always, it's not black and white. There is good, there's bad. And I still hope and believe that NIO will make the turnaround and that we will get to a profitable quarter in Q4, hopefully whole year 2026. That would be great. That would be amazing. I think it's a very tight one. I think it may well not happen as well. Personally, I'm expecting lower sales than what management is pitching. I do still think it's possible to break even with lower sales, but a couple of 100 million here and there can change quickly. So my estimates this time have been off again. So hopefully NIO will surprise us at some point in the future. And if not, unfortunately, the company may not be surviving or actually become a takeover target. That's the truth. That's the unfortunate reality. The next quarter already we'll see, I guess, cost reductions, we'll see better cash flow. So I think we will see some improvements already. Maybe not so much on the top line. I think like the margins may not be there yet. And then Q3 will be hopefully exciting. And then I'm wondering how they're going to manage Q4 in terms of the new launches while having such a big view on profitability metrics, right? So it's on the same time, more outflows of cash and stuff for investments like new models and such. But and also, by the way, the new factory, I thought they are doing Firefly over there already. It seems they're doing it still at Factory 2, actually. So yeah, lots of stuff that we do not know as the public, but they should know from the internals, right? And I think the market sign is very clear, like how the stock is trading, that there is no more patience by investors, and they will not be able to raise money from the public markets anymore in the future if they don't show how to turn around. So very tough situation by now, but NIO has died before and woken up and survived, and NIO and Li Bin have a history in that. So let's hope they can repeat that. That's what I am betting on. Now, thanks guys for tuning in during this whole 1 hour and 40 minutes. If you're watching that maybe as a recording or you tuned in late, you can rewatch it from the beginning. That was really insightful. Thanks guys for joining. I hope you smash a like, keep subscribing so you can comment in the live chat in the future. And then, yeah, truth should win out, how Kathy Wood always likes to talk. I believe, yeah, there's a future for NIO. I really hope they will manage this turnaround and then could become one of the biggest Chinese companies, in my opinion, also overseas. And that's what you have to gamble on, unfortunately, these days in this startup-like situation. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.